everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, February 19th of 2022. It is a little bit chilly here on this beautiful Sunday morning here in Utah, so I decided to keep my jacket on rather than sit here and try to act like I wasn't cold. So I have a really good message for you today on some action steps that you can take to keep yourself in a productive state, keep yourself in a place where you're not fear-based, keep yourself in a place of unconditional love, and a place where if you're on your way to the new earth, like those of us who see the potential for humanity, then these are some really beautiful things to put into place. So what I did is I wrote down some habits that I think will be very beneficial for you. Now the interesting thing is I wanted to have a small list. I wanted to think of just 5 things that I could give you some insight on, and it would, maybe one of these would spark something in you that you're not doing, or you wanted to dial in a little bit deeper. And then I ended up with a list of 10 things, which is totally great because they're all perfect, they're all impactful, and this is where my brain kind of went, well, there's so many people who I connect with, and if you're watching this, you're one of those people who already have a lot of these things dialed in. And if there can be one little thing that you go, oh, that makes so much sense to me, and I've heard about this before, or I've tried to do it before, but now is the time to do it. So I'm just going to go through this. This is a list of habits and ideas that can shift your life so that you can become the best, not only the best version of yourself, but you can be the best person, human being that you can be on this planet. And these are just healthy lifestyle habits. So number 1 is to reflect. I think in our modern crazy world with all the technology we have, we don't take the time to simply reflect. So you want to ask yourself these 3 questions. What happened today that I am grateful for? This is always a beautiful place to start when you're thinking of a reflection practice. What are you grateful for? Write it down. Number 2, what actions are going to move me forward in my goals? So whatever your goal is, do you want to become a little fitter? Do you want to eat a little cleaner? Do you want to meditate more? Do you want to become a better parent, a better grandparent, a better friend? What is it? These are things to reflect on. What are the actions that you can take to move you toward your goal? And a goal doesn't have to be a monetary goal. It can be, but I think that that humanity is shifting into a place where we realize that when we get these other goals, as far as what makes us these amazing, beautiful human beings, then the abundance goals always seem to follow because we are becoming congruent with who we really are. So that's a really good question. And the third one is, are there any changes that I can make? It always starts with baby steps, right? So ask yourself, reflect, ask yourself, what happened today that I'm grateful for? What actions will move me toward my goals? And are there any changes I can make? That's perfect, right? So number 2 is to disconnect. And to me, I bring this up almost every time on a Sunday because to me, this is so critical in our modern world with all of the beautiful technology, because I think that technology has such a beautiful place in our lives, and our connection and our ability to share information, our ability to gather information and become better and more evolved, that you can't discount it. But the need to disconnect is more important than ever. So imagine that you're trying to park your car going at 70 miles per hour. Now, I'm using this analogy in the context of when you're getting ready to go to bed. And what if you're simply connected into, this is essentially what you're doing when you hammer your brain with work things, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of the reels. If you're hammering your brain with this technology within 2 hours of when you're going to go to bed, it's like trying to park your car going 70 miles an hour. I mean, really think about that. That is exactly what you're doing. You can't safely go into this place where you're going to get regenerative, restorative sleep if you're just filling your brain with all of this stimulation. So basically, toss your phone, get off your computer, and literally, metaphorically, slow down the car. So slow it down. So I'm going to actually maybe move ahead here to create a proper sleep schedule. So no screen time 2 hours prior to bed, no eating 2 hours prior to bed, and use blackout curtains or a sleeping mask, and make your room a little bit cooler. So all of these things are going to help you get a really good night's sleep. Okay, now the next one is to set an intention. And this one, to me, is really, really critical, and it's completely life-changing if you do this before you go to bed, because you're literally giving your subconscious directions. You're giving them instructions. You might have a problem you want to solve. You might want to simply explode into more gratitude and be more present during your days. So before you go to sleep, set an intention. So the simple act of writing down your 3 biggest to-do items can create a ton of momentum for the day ahead. So it can not only give you really good sleep, but it creates an intention for the next day. And I've shared this before. I don't do this as often as I need to, as far as setting an intention the night before, where I literally will write things down. But I'm always reminded of why to do it, because some of my biggest breakthroughs and epiphanies, and when I struggle with naming a new product or coming up with a solution on connecting with one of my siblings where there might be a little bit of a disconnect, anytime I sit down and write out my intention or a problem I need solved, and I do this before I go to bed, I always have an answer in the morning, because then what happens in the morning is you're going to go into a reflection mode. You're going to reflect. And if you do that before you turn on any of your technology, then you're in a proactive mode rather than a reactive mode. Because if you set that intention, but then when you get up, you hit the ground running, and the very first thing you do is you check your email, you check your phone, you check your social media. If that's the first thing you do, then you're going to spend the rest of your day in reaction mode. So I would say, if you're going to set an intention, make sure that you take the time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, if you can really buckle that down to a good habit, is going to absolutely change your life. So take the time to set an intention and then reflect on it in the morning. Okay, the next one here is to stretch and breathe. So light stretching or deep breathing is an amazing way to release the tension of a busy day, and your body will thank you. Now, I stretch in the morning when I first get up. I've got this great routine. In my bedroom, there's a bench at the end of the bed. It's the perfect bench. It's got a cushion on it, so it's very comfortable. And after I get dressed, and I always get dressed in my workout clothes, because that is my intention for the day, because I don't skip. I don't feel good in my physical body if I don't get some type of movement and circulation happening. And I know if this is a habit you haven't dialed in, that today is a good day to do that. No matter how slow you start, it doesn't matter. But every morning, after I get dressed, I will lay on this bench, and I will take sometimes 2 minutes, sometimes 4 minutes. I don't really count how many minutes I'm doing it, and I'll sometimes lay there for 10 or 15 minutes on this bench, and I'll literally stretch. And I stretch my arms above my head, I stretch my legs out, I pull my knees to my chest, I pull one knee into my chest and stretch the other one out, and there's just this little routine of stretching and breathing deep that I do first thing in the morning. And then I stretch again when I'm done working out. And sometimes in the middle of my workout, it will include stretching. So if you're not used to stretching your physical body, maybe stand up right now and raise your arms above your head. Lean to the right, breathe for a minute, straighten back up, stretch, and then lean to the left and breathe and stretch and hold that for a minute. bend down and touch your toes, do stretches that maybe muscles that haven't been stretched in a long time, and feel the vibrancy course through your body from just that simple act. So add stretching and breathing really intentionally to your routine. Game changing. This one I truly love. Reading. So this one is a before bed type of thing. So if you are in the habit of watching TV till you go to bed, or maybe you watch TV every evening and then before you go to bed you've got your iPad or your phone and you're scrolling social media, or maybe you're even reading something on a Kindle, which I think is probably fine as far as if you're going to read. But what I have found really, really calms my brain and really gets me in a mode of ready to sleep is to read from a book. And I'm a person who loves to have a hard copy of a book. And I've read plenty of books on Kindle. I don't think there's anything wrong with reading. But there is a bit of a problem with the blue light, which that can be a little bit of a disruption of your sleep patterns. So reading is one of the best ways to slow down your mind before bed. If nonfiction is too stimulating, try fiction. It can be a big adjustment for some people at first, and it's one of the best habits that you will ever build, is to pick up that reading habit. This is maybe an old-fashioned habit at this time, but let's bring that back. And here's another thing that I think is really fascinating. I think because the information that we can find online in certain search engines, like the biggest search engine that's out there, I don't think that all of the information is correct. And so I feel like some of these books, and I have a whole library of books that I'm really grateful for. This is where knowledge can stay steady, and it can come from people who have deep knowledge based on their experience, their education, and the work that they've put in to bring knowledge to a book. And this can even include fiction. There's nothing like sitting on vacation and tucking into a good book. It's one of the things I look forward the most when I find a really good book, especially if it's fiction, because I can read nonfiction all day. I love that. It's like one of my favorite things to watch are documentaries on TV or on different platforms, because the real life stuff really fascinates me in all different areas and subjects. But when I find a really, really good fiction book that just brings me into this other world, there is something really, really beautiful about that. So bring reading back, especially into your nighttime habits. Amazing. Okay, so the next one is to wake up early. It gives you more time to work out, plan your day, have quiet time, and do that thing I talked about in the beginning, reflect. That is amazing, right? Waking up early is a simple habit thing, and I've talked about this before. There's a motivational speaker, her name is Mel Robbins, and she talks about the 5-second rule, where if you're a person who has to get up with an alarm clock, the second it goes off, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and get out of bed. So if there's something that you're putting off doing, even if it's just getting out of bed and getting up early, and you have a motivation to do it at a certain moment, give yourself a countdown and propel yourself up out of your chair, off the couch, out of the bed, and start doing it. And your life will dramatically change when you don't waste those wee hours of the morning. In fact, that is one of my favorite times of the day. I'm a person who gets up usually an hour, sometimes 2 before my husband, and he kind of has his time because I go to bed a little bit earlier than he does. So my quiet time is the morning. And I will tell you, if I reflect, turn on my teapot, I don't open up my emails yet, and I give myself at least a half an hour to sit and reflect, that's where some of this comes from. This is my notes from this week. I sit and I write down things that are ideas that come to me, things I want to accomplish, people I want to reach out to and send love and gratitude to. There's so many things that happen when you get that reflection time. So that's one of the things and the gifts that you get when you get up early. The next one, take a 30-minute walk in nature. This allows you to be still, get rid of anxiety, increase your happiness, and improve your mood. Now, if you bring your phone, the chances of you having that reflection time and the stillness in nature that's going to do all these things for you, and you're still sucked into your phone, even if you're listening to a podcast or something, even if it's something that's motivating, you're missing the point of being out in nature and being in stillness. In fact, one of the things that is my all-time favorite is getting out and hiking and not having any sounds. And I love to hike with friends, but the thing with friends when you're hiking is there's a lot of chatter, which to me that's lovely and connecting, and I would say 50% of the time that's what I do. But the other 50%, especially now that we're getting toward the end of February here, we got a lot of snow, and as we're starting to move toward the spring, I can feel the excitement of getting up into the mountains more than I've been able to the last couple of years because of the issues I've had with my knee. Now I've got a brand new knee and everything is going to be amazing. But the thing that I realized too is I need to get out more in the winter. And it's a little bit hard when you're, the cold is, out there and it's super cold and maybe a little windy and blizzardy. But there are days when it's cold, but the sun is out. And we need to bundle up and take our walk in nature. And here's one thing that I think is brilliant. And I know we used to do this with my dad, who has always had us out in nature. And we grew up in Idaho where we had a lot of harsh winters. Always snow, always cold, every single winter. And sometimes what we would do with my dad and my mom and all my siblings is, and sometimes he would do this individually with us, and we would go out and sometimes we would lay in the snow. Now we would have clothes, coats and gloves and boots, and we'd be bundled up, but we would lay in the snow underneath a tree that had all the leaves were gone, and we would be pointed out by my dad the beautiful miracle of Mother Nature in the growth of the branches, because you could see every branch reflected on the sky because there were no leaves on it. And so I think when you take the time to really appreciate nature, no matter what season it is, your perspective of the world and your place in it and the sheer beauty of being alive, it's shown to you in multiple layers over and over and over. So start with 5 minutes in nature and then move to 10 minutes, then go to 15. If you're working during the day and can get out of your workspace and on the lunch hour, instead of going maybe on a normal habit where you go out with your colleagues every day to lunch, or you sit at your desk and eat lunch, or you go to a lunchroom and eat lunch, get out into nature and spend it walking around your workspace, around the building where you work, or wherever you find yourself. I have a sister who is a nurse in Southern California. She's actually 10 years younger than me, amazing human being, one of the most sparkly, self-centered, in a beautiful way, self-aware, not self-centered, self-aware people I know. And this is what she does. She gets out of her hospital on her lunch break, and I know this because sometimes she'll call me as she's walking, and this is a beautiful time to connect, because there's a lot of siblings that I have, and sometimes to connect with all of them can be a little bit challenging, but taking these moments is super important. So take a break and take yourself out into nature. Spend 1 hour per day exercising. Okay, now that might seem like a lot for some people. I find myself in an exercise mode when I'm doing my daily workouts, and before I know it, not only is an hour gone, but an hour and a half is gone, especially if I'm going to focus at the end on some really good stretching and flexibility. This is something that our human bodies, they need it and they want it, and I believe it raises our consciousness and makes us more present in this beautiful physical body that we have been gifted to walk through this earth with. So by spending 1 hour a day exercising, it helps you have good mental health, and it also helps you have good physical health. So things like walking and lifting weights. Now, you might need to hire a personal trainer to help you learn how to lift weights properly for where you are physically. Everyone's at a different level. Everyone is at a different place. And to me, it's never too late to start doing exercise, and especially weightlifting. In fact, I've said this before, the first 20 years of my career as a young person, I was in the gym, I was teaching exercise classes, and I was a personal trainer. And the oldest client I ever worked with, when she started personal training, she was 92. That was when she started. And I was young, I was in my early 30s, and that moment with her and the fact that she hired me to personal train her, it was a life-changing moment for me, because the realization that no matter where we are in our life, as far as the age we are or anything physical that we have going on, we can always change that. We always have the ability to make a difference, and the small gains are really big gains. So start moving, start exercising, start adding some weightlifting. You can even get a gallon of milk or whatever it is you have that might have some weight to it, and start doing some exercises. This is a part, honestly, where the internet, YouTube can really, really bring any information to you. Put in YouTube, exercising, weightlifting for beginners, with maybe this health problem or this weight problem, or whatever that may be. You might be in a situation where you don't have a gym close to you. Maybe you can't afford to work with a personal trainer. It doesn't matter what you consider obstacles. There's always a way to make your health better. In fact, one of my favorite things, and I've done this for years and years and years as I've traveled, and I'm grateful I have the background of physical fitness and exercise and all of the things that I learned when I used to work at a gym. I owned my own gym at one point. I taught classes for 40 years, and I was a personal trainer for 20 years. So I have all of this. And over the years, what I did is I developed a at-home body weight workout where I don't need any equipment. All I use is my body weight. In fact, I actually have this workout written down, and I'll put a link to this workout below this video. This is my travel workout, and I've shared it before a few years ago, but anytime I go out of town, I don't even need to go to a gym because I have this body weight workout, and it is brilliant. Okay, so exercise. I could talk about that one for a while because it's such an important thing, and it's something that I feel very passionate about, because when you're physically strong, everything in your life changes. Your mental health, your emotional health, your relationships, everything changes when you take care of this beautiful vessel. Okay, so there's one more. So this one is kind of built into a lot of these, but this is to sit in silence. Our minds are racing with hundreds of thoughts every minute. So give your mind a break. And this, like I said, has been really laced in to a lot of these, because to me, reflecting, sitting in stillness, walking in nature, giving your mind a break is especially important in the world that we live in, because there's so much information. And I know I can watch something that one of my siblings sends me, and if it's something that is like the world is looking like this, and the potential for humanity to go down this road, and we're losing our freedoms, and then I am just sunk into, there can be a moment of a depression cloud can come over me, and I almost have to, I definitely have to be really strategic about the information that I let in, because what I want to do is I want to make a difference in the world, and a rise in the consciousness of the planet. This is what I want to do. And I want to get to the end of my life realizing the incredible beauty that we all have. And if we realize this gorgeous potential of being alive on this planet at this time, our lives would look different in a split second. We are such a spark of the divine. It's time to really realize that. And I think when you put these little habits into place, it can help you realize the very potential and beauty of who you are. So, all right, 25 minutes in. If you got to the end of this, thank you so much. I will reiterate 100 times that it's the most beautiful time ever to be alive and aware and awake to who we truly are, to the sheer beautiful beauty that is our consciousness, our soul, this physical body that we get to experience everything. You know, enjoy this body. This is why we have 5 senses. We have these senses so that we can smell the rose. We can, touch and wrestle with our puppy and kiss our babies on the neck and breathe in all of this beautiful, gorgeous world that we get to live in. So look for the things that are beautiful and be part of what is beautiful on this planet. So thanks for watching, you guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share if you think someone might benefit from it. Subscribe if you're not. And I hope you have the most beautiful, beautiful week ahead. We'll see you next time.